know if we should like wait till a certain amount of people show up to start.
Definitely. I think let's give it 5 minutes. But
Joanne.
welcome, Joanne.
Hello, Joanne. Have you already left a question? I don't think so.
No.
All right. Well, I mean, there are only like 3 people in right now, so if you do have any questions, now would be a good time to ask, and we can address yours first.
Yes. First comes, first serves.
Hello, Anne. You are definitely somebody that left a question.
Yes, indeed. Anne is my inspiration.
Oh, Anne was the one, she sent us pictures.
Yes, she did.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's maybe answer that question now, because I think that's a really, really good one. And I think we can actually both contribute to that, because there's experiences that I've had here and experiences that you've had here. All right, so just to clarify Anne's question, she says she's currently in her reverse diet after getting more than 5 pounds below her goal weight, hitting 114, and now slowly increasing her calories up. You're up only less than 2 pounds, but it does fluctuate day to day. Basically, what you're indicating here is that after losing all that weight, you're feeling like you don't have enough muscle, no ab definition, etc. And you thought that there were glutes and maybe abs under the excess fat, but nope. So, looking at your pictures, my indication with that, and I can self-reference here, and I can draw on my own experience, and I think I can draw on a lot of clients' experiences, is that you probably need to get a little bit leaner than what you think you need to. Okay, like don't get me wrong, you're in amazing shape, and you're in the kind of shape which is at this point would probably be sustainable for you in the long run. But for most people, remember, a lot of the people that you see on social media, either they're genetic outliers or they're posting one of the thousands of pictures that they took 6 months ago when they were shredded. People generally don't look like that all the time, and I think you just need to push a little bit further. For myself, I mean, I'm a pro in classic physique. I need to get very, very lean when I compete, and I probably only start seeing my abdominals when I'm like sub 8%, and that's just because genetically my abs are not as prominent. They're not as protruding as a lot of other people's. They're kind of deeper in, and because of that I need to get leaner. So you may just be one of those people that to see that level of definition needs to get leaner. But there is no question whatsoever that adding muscle onto your frame is going to make that process easier.
Anna, and I have to say, I'm looking at your pictures as there we go. So you really don't have that much further to go, and I can see your obliques coming out. So Anna's with Coach Sarah, and I know Coach Sarah is a bomb, and she will get you there. So keep following that direction.
And she gets into insane condition.
Insane condition. Coach Sarah is one of those people that has like amazing genetic abs as well.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be dismayed. I think you're almost there, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, but I would say if you want my advice, at least it would be to continue doing what you're doing. I think that the amount of effort and fatigue that you would need to accrue to get that little bit leaner wouldn't be sustainable in the long run. It wouldn't be worth it. Whereas if you spend a reasonable amount of time now adding solid muscle onto your frame, it's going to make it a lot easier to get down there, because you're going to have more efficient metabolism in the first place, and you're going to have more prominent muscle bellies that just make you appear a little bit leaner anyway.
Also, to mention that Anne came in second place in the last challenge. So she has already, dominated herself and dominated the challenge in itself. I think that what Matt is saying is 100% correct, but you look so good, Anne. As I said,
you do look fantastic.
Yeah, as I said to you in the message, I mean, you said that you're turning 60. There is no,
Oh, really? I missed that part.
no ways. There is no ways. You look so good.
I really hope that at 60 I can have that problem.
Yes.
I'm super shredded, but I just can't see my
abs.
yeah, so there's probably a genetic component. B, there's probably the component of just get a little bit leaner. There's definitely the component of add more muscle, and it's going to make it easier in the future. But if you're looking for a direction, continue doing what you're doing. Finish your reverse, go into a conservative building phase, add that muscle, build up your metabolism, and it's going to make leaning down next time a lot easier, and it's probably going to make it a little bit more readily available to see more prominent abdominals. Which brings us on to the next question, where you're asking about, what are the best exercises for glutes and abs. Do you want to take this first, or shall I?
No, carry on.
Okay, so in terms of abdominals, really, there's not going to be a lot of options. But the biggest piece of advice that I can give to you is don't train your abs like they're somehow different from the rest of your muscle groups. They respond to the same thing. Mechanical tension, volume, frequency. So the biggest mistake that I see people making with abdominal training is that they're doing crunches or leg raises like ad infinitum with no load, and therefore they're not applying much tension onto the muscle. The tension is what elicits the growth response. So whatever you're doing, and you're really going to only be alternating between some crunch variation and some leg raise variation. The only thing that you should change would be make sure that it is a loaded version of that. So, for example, like a cable crunch, you can load. An ab mat crunch, holding onto a weight plate or a dumbbell or something like that, you can load. A leg raise with a dumbbell between your legs, you can load. So probably a lot of the same stuff that you're doing now, but just making sure that you're loading it. And as with any other muscle group, you're progressing those numbers over time. As far as glutes are concerned, you can talk about your favorite glute exercises.
Oh, yeah. Look, I think one thing to note, though, especially with glutes, is that your frequency of training it in 1 week can be higher than a lot of other muscle groups, which is really awesome. So for me, personally, I have to say the hip thrust, definitely one of my favorites. Eddie Shepherd kickbacks. So I don't know if you've ever done that before, Anne, but it is honestly one of my favorite exercises to build that perfect glute shelf. Really,
I can give you, if you drop one of us a DM after this weekend, I can send you to the link to that exercise in our exercise library.
Yes. I'm just making a note of that. Alrighty. Sorry, can I just continue with the glutes? Because that is something that I'm looking at a lot lately. Not glutes, but the exercise
only yours. But the exercises to build it. So I've kind of come up with this premise that for a glute exercise to be considered top tier, you want to load the lengthened position, you want as much stability as possible, and you want to be able to easily progress that movement over time. So the movements that really load the lengthened position are going to be like your hip hinge variations, so like RDLs, good mornings. I really like to do RDLs on a belt squat because there's a more kind of linear path and it's a lot more stable, so you can generally get a lot more output. I like front foot elevated split squats on the Smith machine because you can also get into a massive stretch. Very stable, very easy to progress over time. And then when you're looking at glute med development, exactly that. Eddie Shepherd kickbacks are the absolute best because you're basically combining a step down with a kickback. So you're getting glute max, you're getting glute med, you're loading the lengthened position, you're loading the shortened position, literally everything. So that's a really good one. Do we get any additional questions here?
No. So from what I can tell, we have Joanne. So Joanne said she's with Coach Miriam and here for the support and lots of love.
Okay, awesome.
Love it, Joanne.
Oh, I think that actually reminded me. I think I need to send Miriam an ebook on digestion. Thank you for reminding me.
I'll add the notes.
Okay, Sam Mercado. When doing legs, back, or chest, is there a preferred order of exercises you should do first? There is no definitive, in my opinion, there's no definitive order. There is going to be a preference, but that preference is largely going to be based on individual circumstances. Okay, so I can give you a couple of examples here. I think Fast can probably give you a couple of examples. When I train legs, I'm starting off with first a hamstring movement. Why? Because hamstrings are a priority to me because they're weaker than my quads. So according to the priority principle, if they are body parts that you are specifically trying to bring up, train them first in the week, train them first within the session, because you're going to be getting the most output. My first quad movement of the day is going to be a leg extension, but not because it's inherently better as the first movement than anything else, but because I've had a lot of tendonitis in my knees. I need an isolation movement that is not going to be loading too heavy, where I can warm up my knees and then go into my heavy compound movement. So there is a preferred order, but that preferred order is going to be based, largely speaking, on you and your circumstances. And if you're asking the question, then you may not be aware of the circumstances on which you would base those decisions. So my recommendation would be, find a coach in the team that is suitable for you, and work with them for at least 3 months or so you can get the basic premises behind biomechanics, structuring, training, programming, and nutrition, if that may also be a bottleneck for you at some point, so that you can learn from that experience and then you can apply that in the future for yourself.
Perfect. So next we have Angela Justine. So she says, I do very well with most vegetables and I have a hard time getting daily fiber. Most days it's below 15 grams. Any suggestions? Oh, one of my favorite things.
You take this one.
One of my favorite things. So look, I think one of the things that I'm also not a person that enjoys vegetables. So I have to hide my fiber goods in my foods by tricking myself. I know it sounds really ridiculous, but it is.
Sounds like that's a strategy for how you get like an infant or a toddler to eat vegetables. Yeah,
I am one such infant. I've never.
And you literally do that to yourself. That's amazing.
And I do it to myself. So I look for different ways. One thing that I do incorporate in my breakfast almost every single day is mixed berries. Mixed berries is a really, really great source of fiber. And dates. If any of you like dates are uber delicious. Very, very good source of fiber.
Dates literally taste like little caramels.
Piece of heaven.
They're amazing. They're a superfood. They're like high in magnesium and potassium and like a whole bunch of other micronutrients and fiber, and they're delicious.
And so I think, look, the only thing that sucks about dates is that they're high in carbohydrates. So if your carbs are low, it's very difficult to get around it.
Yeah.
But to be quite honest with you, it's worth the squeeze, right? Because one date, I mean, it's generally about 20 grams of carbohydrates. It's got 2 grams of fiber in there. Mm-hmm. So that's a really, really quick win.
And also any fruits, because you didn't say that you don't do well with fruit. So like pears, I think, are one of the densest sources of fiber. Bananas, apples with the skin on them, and then obviously whole grains.
Absolutely. So but I mean, dates are more pretty and cute and delicious than a whole grain.
No, so I mean, people love oats, and people love brown rice, and you can get literally high fiber tortillas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 5-6 grams of fiber per tortilla.
That was actually going to be my next point, because anything that is low carb, generally, that is some sort of wrap, some sort of pasta. I mean, we've had cauliflower noodles as well before, which had I think 7 grams of fiber in one serving. It
was actually too much fiber for me at that point. I didn't realize how much it was. And listen, I mean, worst case scenario, or in addition to including some of the whole grains and some of the fruits, you can always just get a fiber supplement.
Yes.
Just make sure that you're getting one that is soluble and insoluble, because those confer different benefits. And Revive MD has a very, very good fiber supplement, even if it's just a top up. Let's say you're getting to 15 to 18 grams of fiber per day and you want to be at around 23 to 25. you can just have one serving of that fiber and you get the net result anyway.
Absolutely. But just make sure you're smarter than us when doing it and you're actually tracking your fiber, because we've done things before where you're short on fiber and then all of a sudden you add all of these additional things and then now suddenly you have bloating.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great. So just make sure that you're tracking your number as well, just to get to your target.
Yeah, with people in this lifestyle, I mean, I've seen it actually with maybe 3 or 4 clients this week. I think historically, years ago, when I would see people having GI issues, the most common thing that I would see is like low fiber.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing, I think because people are becoming a lot more health conscious and not just body composition conscious.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people taking in like 70 grams of fiber a day, and we're like, why do I feel so bloated?
Why is my tummy so?
Beans and lentils too, 100%.
Exactly.
Mangoes, exactly.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of options to get fiber without having to eat a ton of vegetables. All right, anything next?
No, I think that's all we've got for now.
No, there is another one here. There's one about a fat burner.
Yes. It's from Ken Rowan.
Rowan.
Anyone using a fat burner? I think Paul mentioned one from Core Nutritional, and then Joanne commented on that and said, I normally have low blood pressure and do well with stimulants. I was sad when ephedra went off the market. I do like the Condemned Labs brand, Arsenious thermogenic.
All right, we don't have a ton more questions, so go.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
So, to be honest with you,
You know what my opinion is.
Yeah. Calories in versus calories out is going to be the best fat burner that you're going to get. We've seen quite a bit of research as well in terms of how...
Can I make a disclaimer? Guys, if you hear little pitter-patter on the pitter-patter of little feet on the floor, it's not a baby, it's our little puppy
dog.
running around like a psychopath.
Sorry about that.
Because she can't stand that we're talking to whatever this is and we're ignoring her, yeah. So, yeah, the fat burner thing.
Oh, yeah. So we've seen a ton of research on it, and I think that, right now, we've come out of this marketplace where, if you guys can recall, 10 years ago, there were so many weight loss shakes and fat loss shakes, and fat burners were the kind of in thing that everybody was doing at the time. And now we're moving on to more, I would say, diligent research around the topic, right? So
yeah,
the research right now is not really suggesting that there's too much of a benefit to taking a fat loss.
Over the counter fat burners.
Yeah. So, what is your...
Yeah, so as somebody that was, because I'm just about to turn 39, I was going to say bodybuilding. I started exercising when I was 18, and I was borderline obese. Let's be honest.
He was.
And at that point, I was doing it. I'd gotten into it just because I didn't want to be overweight anymore, not because I wanted to be a bodybuilder. So I would see all these fat burners marketed in the magazines, and at that point, it was a wild west. You could literally make any claim that you wanted to, and there were no regulations, and I got duped into buying every single fat burner on the market and just saw no result. And the data is largely backing that up now. In terms of what you can get over the counter, there's not a lot that's going to be legitimately effective in terms of lipolysis. There's going to be a lot that's going to be effective in terms of maybe blunting hunger signals and maybe giving you a little bit of energy. You're deep in a deficit, your calories are low, you're doing a lot of expenditure. Taking a pill with a bunch of caffeine and other stimulants is definitely going to help. But not a lot of data to suggest actual benefits in terms of fat loss. And even if you look at stuff that is now, I don't know if they would call it scheduled in the US, regulated. Let's say regulated. Yeah. If you look at substances that are now regulated, I think somebody mentioned ephedrine. Who was that?
It was Joanne.
Okay, so if you look at ephedra, or if you look at even locally yohimbine, which is actually legal in the US. If you look at clenbuterol, and you look at a lot of PEDs or even herbal extracts that were once legal that aren't now, those are effective, but still not as effective as you might think. Something like a clean yohimbine combo might add an extra 10% caloric burn in a 24-hour period. So if your total daily energy expenditure is 2,000 calories, even taking very harsh stimulants with potential side effects that are largely illegal would only make you burn 2,200. Is it worth the difference? Probably not, and definitely not if it's in my opinion, if it's an over-the-counter fat burner. If you're taking it to regulate hunger signaling and for like an energy boost, cool, but don't expect a huge net result in terms of lipolysis.
The questions are there now. We no longer have any more on the Facebook post.
Okay. Did you already talk about how to proceed if a participant who had lost 20 pounds and has another 20 plus pounds to lose, staying in a calorie deficit, reversing, and taking a diet break? I think we might have two different approaches here. So you tell me what you let the people know what you would do.
Hello, Faith, and congratulations on the 20-pound loss. First, can we celebrate that? Because people don't really realize 20 pounds it's a lot. I think it's something to definitely celebrate. So, Faith, I think it really depends on a couple of things. It depends on your starting point. It depends on how long you've been dieting for. It depends on your adherence to plan right now. It depends on whether or not your body is still responding. Has it metabolically adapted to where you are in terms of the calories that you're on before you even decide to make a change? And I think it also depends on what's been happening, because if, for example, in the last 3 weeks, you've remained super consistent, you're 100% on plan with your macros, you're 100% on plan with your exercises, your steps, every box is ticked, right? And if you have not seen any scale movements for a period of 3 weeks, in combination with no measurement changes in those 3 weeks, in combination with no visual changes in those 3 weeks, generally, an option would be to take a diet break, or to give you a little bit of a period of maintenance, depending on how long you've actually been dieting for. The thing is, we're all, and I speak up for myself as well, because every time I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm like, the scale didn't move this week. Meantime, my measurements had actually changed, and it's really, really, for me at least, it's much more important to see the measurements change, because then at least I know body composition changes happening.
So that is important. So what you're saying is, like, especially when you've lost 50% of what you want to, I would say it's probably a good time to start defining the endpoint by a different metric other than just your scale weight, because you might be seeing substantial body composition changes, which mean that maybe you only need to lose another 9 pounds, not another 20 pounds.
Yeah, and also, like, think about your adherence to the plan. Generally, because there's a difference between your body not responding to the plan and you not responding to the plan, right? When you're dieting, you do get fatigued. I mean, especially if you, I don't know what your starting point or what the timeline was, but let's just put a number out there and say you've been dieting for 20 weeks to lose these 20 pounds. At this point, your adherence might be slipping. You might be feeling like you're going over your macros every now and again, or the food noise is starting to kick in and you're starting to think about food a lot more. Or maybe it's that you're feeling a little bit lazier with your steps. Those things actually matter in terms of how you feel in the process. So once you get there, that would also probably be a good time to think about taking a diet break, because your adherence to the plan is slipping, and there's nothing wrong with the diet break. It's wonderful. It's a great place to be. Maintenance is really the adaptation point that all us coaches love, because your body gets the opportunity to kind of bounce back, relax, lower cortisol levels, pull back on some of the activity. So I think it depends on a lot of those factors. So do you want to give us a little bit more information, Faith? Like,
you can give us some context, your starting point, how long you've been dieting for, how low your calories are, because I would look at three things. So I'd look at the physiological. So in other words, have you hit a plateau that it seems unreasonable to break through? So in other words, you're not losing anymore, no matter like perfect adherence, getting your expenditure, cardio steps, nailing your you're still not moving, and you're looking at your calories and going, I literally can't go lower than this. It's impractical for me to go lower than this. It might be physiologically damaging for me to go below this. Then I would look at the mental and say, well, maybe you could go lower on calories, you could go higher on expenditure, but mentally, is your head still in the game? Because if you're trying to push through mental fatigue, even though maybe the physical is fine, it's also going to be counterproductive. And then what a lot of people forget is I would look at the lifestyle related factors as well. We're halfway, or even at kind of close to the end of November.
It's Thanksgiving next week.
It's holidays, it's Christmas, it's New Year, it's social gatherings and parties and all that kind of stuff. Even if the physical is good, even if the mental is good, do you really want to be pushing through the next month and a half to 2 months of celebrations and etc., when you could just be at maintenance, reap metabolic and health related benefits out of it anyway, and then return to the deficit where there's a more appropriate time to be doing so, where you don't have so many social impediments, so based on do you need to take a diet break? We would need to know a little bit more information. Starting point, how long you've been dieting for, how much is your expenditure, how low are your calories, how good is your sleep, how good is your recovery, are you noticing any ill effects in terms of digestion or mental fog, or you could get your lab work done and you could gauge if there is any dysregulation or attenuation of thyroid output, progesterone, testosterone, etc. That'll give you black and white data. But I really think the more obvious thing to do is assess: am I physically responding, and do I have the runway left to continue reducing calories or continue increasing expenditure? Mentally, is my head still in the game to apply myself to this in the way that I need to? And then C, am I willing to be dieting over the holiday season?
Yeah.
Answer those 3 questions and you'll have your answer.
So Faith has gotten back to us. So she said, true, body fat percentage is key too. I have a significant amount of body fat to lose. To get from 36% to 25.8%.
I'm saying this person came first though.
Oh.
It's fine, we'll answer this one now.
I started at 174 to 151. Adherence is good, but calories have been low. I'm at a weight and size that is still overweight but more comfortable. I'm afraid of worsening loose skin as I'm in my mid-40s. Okay.
So not really a question there.
Yeah. So your adherence is not slipping, but your calories have been low.
Maybe she's going to follow up with the question. I don't know. There's not a. If you want to ask a question about loose skin, I can see Michael has already asked a question about that. Or if you just want to ask a question about caloric intake, is it too low? You can go ahead and ask. But I think Joanne did actually ask a question first. Okay. At present, everything is feeling easy and I'm not having any issues following the plan and training. I do wonder if this will eventually fade away, and how can I prepare myself for the testy times of life? All right, so it's invariably going to fade away, and then it'll come back, and then it'll fade away again, and then it'll come back again. I'm wondering if this is relating specifically to fat loss.
Yeah. Because
if it's relating specifically to fat loss, at some point, just physiological conditions are going to dictate that it's not going to become easy anymore. I think you remember when you started, it was initially difficult, then you adapted and you developed habits and routines that made it easy. But then when you're trying to go from, good shape to really lean, then it becomes hard again. And it's not down to your motivation or your mindset, it's down to physiological conditions.
Yeah. So just to give you some context, Joanne, I was actually in your position about 5 years ago. So I had reached out to a coach at Team Pro Physique and went through a significant body transformation. I think I lost 55 pounds, kept it off, and then years later, obviously, I studied a bit into the space and then became a coach here at Pro Physique. So that's why Matt was saying, you would remember what this looks like. And I think the one thing that I have to say here is, being in this process for so long and learning things the Pro Physique way was really a treat for me because of flexible dieting. So the first thing that I always think about with regards to my macros is that I'm not restrictive. I'm quite inclusive with food, and that really helps from a mentality perspective in terms of how long my adherence to stick to the plan is going to go, right? Because I think what you're asking here is you wonder if it's going to eventually fade. I mean, for me, I can at least confirm that from a food perspective, it hasn't, because I eat single source ingredient foods all day. I do eat pretty healthy, but I do also eat, Lotus Biscoff biscuits at night or Oreos or whatever that is. So I'm quite incorporative with food. So I think about that as well, just to make sure that from a food perspective, you will remain within this lifestyle, because that's what it's all about. I think when it comes to, exercise and getting your steps in, I mean, nobody is perfect. None of us are doing all of those things every single day. We try our best to tick all 3 boxes. But in times when I want to say your motivation wanes, right? 9 times out of 10, what you will find through this process is that if you've been doing it for long enough, you're kind of rebuilding neural pathways in your brain where your body is just doing it anyways, sometimes even when you don't feel like it. And that, I think, is what really helps in terms of building that determination and consistency within us, right? Because it just becomes part of your life. It's just a habit. But if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you need to prepare yourself for life because it's going to be testy in the background, because yes, it will. Life doesn't stop. It continues. And every week we reach new challenges of Jumanji that we didn't previously see.
That's been our year in a nutshell.
Yeah, 2025 has been quite rough for a lot of people. But, in those times, I always say to people, focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. And sometimes it's not doing all 3 things and ticking all 3 boxes, like your food and your workout and your steps. Maybe on that particular day, it might be your steps, or maybe for that week. Sometimes it happens like that. But, just don't give up on yourself, because I feel like we all have really bad days, but it doesn't have to turn into a bad week, a bad month, and then a bad year where we've just completely forgotten about the really great habits that we've built in the process.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I would want to address it in 2 ways. The one would be, if you're referring specifically to like fat loss, like if you're in a deficit now, like it's definitely going to fade, and I hope it does, because you don't want to try and be in a deficit in the long term. What I'm hoping you're referring to is like just this lifestyle in general, in which case absolutely everything that Fat said is completely true. The whole point of this transformation challenge, the whole point of coaching, the whole point of Pro Physique is to try and teach people that this can be something that is sustainable and enjoyable in the long run, regardless of what you're going through in your life. It's just the necessity to understand that there's a different season for everything, and there are going to be certain periods of time where it might not be appropriate, or it might not be conducive to be trying to lose body fat. It might not be appropriate or conducive to trying to build a ton of muscle, but you can always do the best that you can within that situation. I competed. The last time I competed was in 2024.
Yes. Yeah.
2024. So middle of 2024. So it's been a year and a half now. And since I got on stage middle of 2024, it's been a long time. It's only been the last 3 months that I've gotten back to ticking every box the way that I should. Because there's been so much other stuff going on, and distractions and all, a whole bunch of stuff. But I haven't been perfect, but the habits that I have established for myself have allowed me to do enough whereby I definitely didn't lose progress. For a year and a half, I didn't lose progress. And that's fairly impressive when you consider that I've been giving very little thought to that side of my life and focusing a lot more on coaching and clients and business and everything that comes along with it. So basically the messaging is make your habits so strong and so bulletproof that regardless of what happens in your life, you're running on autopilot. You're not even thinking about it. Because if work gets busy or there's family pressures or whatever the case is, you don't stop brushing your teeth, you don't stop showering, you don't stop going to work, that is the level of habit you want to be in. I don't stop training, I don't stop eating well. That might not mean in a deficit, but if the habits are there, the behaviors will be there without you having to think about it.
Perfectly said.
What's next here, my lovey?
Okay, I think...
Can you answer this one about the loose skin?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Michael. So Michael asks, how can I improve the appearance of loose skin? And quick. Okay, I sense the urgency in your tone, Michael.
There's a reason why I don't want to answer this question.
Okay, so this is a tough one. There's good news and there's bad news. Okay? Generally, if you're in a transformation challenge like this, and 9 times out of 10, you're losing body fat much quicker than you would in, outside of a challenge, if you were just exercising with like no end date or deadline.
No end date, no competitiveness. Yeah.
So generally when that happens and you lose body fat really, really quickly, loose skin does happen. But the good news is, over time, it can tighten up. So it depends on the severity of the looseness of the skin. So just to give you an example with myself, like I said, I lost 55 pounds. So I had loose skin above my belly button. And over time, that loose skin kind of went away and it tightened up. And I was like, yes, resistance training, thank you for this gift, because it was. But there are instances where your loose skin is going to be much, especially I think if you've lost over 55 to 60 pounds, it's going to be a lot more noticeable, and it's not a quick fix. So the one thing that I can say that I've actually done quite a bit of research on, and this is such a girl talk conversation right now, so any females that are here are probably going to feel like they're part of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but there is something called radio frequency laser. So they do it on the areas where you have loose skin, and it kind of tightens it up over time. It is quite costly, and you do have to go for, I think, 4 to 12 sessions in order to see the full efficacy of it. So it's not a quick fix. That's the bad news. But the good news is that if it's not significant and really, really visible, it does tighten up over time. Your body just needs the ability, needs to have time to kind of catch up with the amount of weight that you've lost.
Yeah, that was the answer that I didn't want to give. I was like, I'm gonna answer this question, and then I saw the quick exclamation mark, and I was like, I'm not gonna be the one that break the bad news to. Yeah,
you made me break Michael's heart, basically, on live television on the internet.
I love you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Michael. So it's definitely not gonna happen quick. Like no matter what you do, it's not gonna happen quick. I'm making this very clear. I'm not making any recommendations, but what I would say is at least research some peptides that are available in the market that are essentially collagen precursors, far more effective than taking a collagen supplement. And there should be clinics pretty much nationwide that will assist you and prescribe that kind of stuff for you if you fit the requirements. Not a peptide that I've tried, but it's getting a lot of hype and a lot of focus lately, with very good reviews. But just if you look at it, get it from a legitimate source, get it from a physician. Okay, Stephen. Advice for the last 2 weeks of the challenge. You sure most of us will be cutting? Should an increased deficit come from less calories or more cardio movement? Well, so I wanted to make this point. I'm so happy that with almost every question we've answered it with "it depends." Yeah. If you ever hear anybody answer if it's about a nuanced subject, if somebody answers a question and says "it depends," generally trust that person's opinion. The more nuanced, the better, in my opinion. So it kind of depends where you are, Stephen. You could tell me. I don't know anything about your settings, so I don't know your starting point. I don't know your current weight. I don't know where your calories are. I don't know your expenditure level. I don't know any time restrictions or your schedule, your recovery capacity, your sleep duration, your sleep quality, which are all going to be impacting my answer to the question. But really, the sentiment that's going to sum this up is, what is going to be the less painful option? Okay?
Choose your heart.
If you're eating 1,300 calories per day and you're asking, should I cut down to 1,000, but you're only doing 6,000 steps a day, obviously increase your steps or add in a little bit of cardio. But if you're eating, 2,800 calories, but doing 3 hours of cardio a day, I'm going to say reduce some calories and probably reduce your cardio as well. So it depends. What is going to be the least painful?
Yeah.
Like personally, metabolically, hormonally, what is going to be the least damaging?
And also what your preference is. Like some people really do enjoy doing massive amounts of activity. I mean, I had a client the other day that checked in and she was like, I think she had done something close to 23,000 steps and told me that she enjoys it. She was like, don't ever cut my food. I'd rather you make me walk. And she loved it. So preference also does play a role.
And until she doesn't love it anymore, and then you can reduce food.
And then you reduce food, absolutely.
And then she's going to want to love it again, and then you can increase the cardio. So it
depends on the person.
It depends. Yeah. If you respond with your stats, so starting weight, current weight, what are your average calories across the course of the week? What is the number of steps you're doing? What are your minutes of cardio? What is the intensity of your cardio? At least it would be a starting point for giving a slightly more solid answer. Okay. I wanted to meet at a restaurant for some wine and celebrate a co-worker's birthday. I don't want to go because it doesn't fit with what I like to do, but I do feel guilty trying to figure out a way to say no.
Tell them you're on antibiotics, so you can go and not drink, or probably be at home from the event.
I would say fit the wine into your macro. It's one glass of wine, guys. And I wonder if any of my clients are watching this, because if you're in a fat loss phase, no alcohol. No. But it is one glass of wine.
It's not going to hurt.
One glass of wine is literally not going to hurt, as long as you trust yourself to have the discipline to keep it at one. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't become 2, that becomes 3, that then becomes 6,000 calories because your inhibitions have gone.
Yeah, and remember that your the next day you're going to crave really fatty and salty foods. So as long as you can have the drink and then not regress the next day based on cravings.
I would go. I mean, personally, I would, if I were in the challenge, I would probably go and just not drink, but still enjoy the social gathering. Yeah, but sometimes that's a skill that's learned, though. It's a skill that's learned to be able to be social and enjoy it without food or alcohol being a focus point.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. Sometimes it's hard. Like, I remember being in a deficit and I would go to the restaurant and order a egg white omelette with all the no fat, no butter, no whatever, and everybody used to look at me funny, and I used to be like, "Oh, sorry, I'm allergic to butter and oil."
Yeah,
the thing is that it became part of my routine.
Yeah, exactly. But it was initially hard, and then it's not now. It's not now at all. Like, we're social all the time. We were social even when I was in contest prep all the time, and also it's kind of supposed to be hard. That's kind of what's cool about it. You know what I mean? If it was easy, there would be no value associated with it.
Joanne, it's also been a really tough year. Go have some fun, girl. Enjoy yourself.
as long as you drink a South African wine, then we're okay with it. You can relate to this as well. So hard when you are with people who do not understand what you are doing. Yeah, I mean, it is hard. I mean, I just make it hard for them. If they're making you feel awkward about it, you know what I mean?
No.
Don't shame me for being healthy. How dare you?
I have been health shamed before, and you know this.
Yeah, of course.
I used to I worked in corporates. I used to go to work, and I used to pack all of my stuff before I went to work and weigh everything. I had a scale in my desk, and somebody came to me one day and said, "You're so strict." And I was like, "No, I am just counting what I'm consuming so that I'm actually aware." And it's such a strange concept because you will be outnumbered. People will not understand what you're doing. And in my case, I was resorting to saying that I was allergic or on antibiotics because I didn't want to be drinking or eating really super oily foods. But to be honest with you, self-preservation for me at the time, and it worked out really well because I lost 55 pounds and I regret nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I find it bizarre to think that most people would never consider not having like a financial budget. Just, oh, well, I'm just going to spend my money on whatever I want. And, oh, shit, I can't pay rent this month.
Yeah.
It's like, just apply that same logic to nutrition. Just not, and then it doesn't seem so weird, right?
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael, I'm actually a woman. I'm on my husband's account. Yay! Thank you for joining my episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians on Loose Skin. That's amazing.
Okay.
Wait, sorry, there was another thing on the Loose Skin. Okay.
What education would we recommend to be a coach? So there's so much, because I'm an education. I was gonna say a bad word there.
He's quite the scientist, and he loves data and loves, which just by the way is not a negative thing, and loves facts.
I love studying. I love new information. Yeah.
So first of all, Joanne, thank you for asking the question, because honestly, we want more educated coaches on the market. So there is a National Academy of Metabolic Sciences, and both of us are really huge fans of Dr. Joe, who has created this academy. I would say that that's probably your first start, because you need to really learn how the metabolism works, how food is processed in the body, and really how to be setting up plans for clients based on their different circumstances. There are no two people in the world that have the same macros. I've never met anyone that is on the exact same calories, because they're the exact same height and doing the exact same level of activity, right? So there's a lot to learn, and I think outside of that, definitely something in strength and conditioning.
So I would say the basics first, which is NAMS.
Yeah.
That is definitely the one. Then I would probably move on to J3U as a more J3 University as a more advanced course, both in nutrition, biomechanics, hormones, PED deployments, if that's relevant or interesting to you. And then I would probably, as like your final destination, go for something specifically related to biomechanics. So Prescript is a really, really good one, but it's incredibly advanced. If you're looking for something a little bit more introductory, I would probably go with Joe Bennett's biomechanics course. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, NAMS to start, J3U as kind of a upgrade. Thereafter.
NAMS is short for the National Academy of Metabolic Sciences.
Yeah.
Just putting that
You can put the link in the comments, yeah.
Okay.